This is one of the best builds against the oil-swilling bots in Helldivers 2. They are extremely resilient and incredibly infuriating if you let their numbers overwhelm you. This loadout is very fast-paced and a swashbuckling playstyle that focuses on rewarding accuracy and a very aggressive style of play. You can handle any situation and feel damn good doing it. I'll also throw in a great tip for newer Helldivers on how to deal with seemingly terrifying Hulk enemies if you're struggling to deal with them. In terms of the red stratagems, the first will come as no surprise. It's the 500 kg for all the obvious reasons, excellent clear potential, and it can obliterate any armored enemy in the Automaton arsenal, depending on the landing point, of course. It can also deal with cannon turrets and other fortifications easily. The second is the orbital precision strike with its insanely low cooldown and the ability to again one-shot armored threats and fortifications, making this an incredibly potent stratagem to pick. It has the ability to clear out large pockets of devastators and berserkers when you find yourself in a pinch. Given its low cooldown, you don't need to worry too much about throwing this one in as often as possible. Moving on to the blue stratagems, and the wombo combo of the railgun and the supply backpack gives us the supreme combination that makes us feel incredibly formidable against the Automaton scum. It does a fantastic job of one-shotting devastators, berserkers, and perhaps most importantly, even Hulks if you land a well-placed shot to their eye socket. And if you're a new Helldiver, I'm going to follow this bit up with a little tip that'll help you out if you struggle against these suckers. It's also extremely effective against gunships. Taking on multiple gunship factories and or gunship patrols with this setup can lead to mouth-watering results. I've also been using this combination on stream, and folks, I'm really struggling to put this down. The only thing that remotely comes close for me at the moment is the recoilless, but for very different reasons, and I just enjoy the swashbuckling and rapid playstyle. Powered by the supply backpack, you are pretty much an infinite source of incredibly high damage output, and once you get into a rhythm of using this in unsafe mode, your teammates will be blown away at just how insanely effective you are at clearing out devastators, berserkers, and all those horrendously scary threats. The icing on the cake, however, is coming up shortly, but before we go into that, here is a tip from a previous video that will be incredibly helpful to new Helldivers as they gain their footing against these oil-swilling scumbags. If the Hulk is running, you'll have a much harder time as the eye moves around a lot, so to alleviate this issue, there are a number of choices here. Using stun grenades when the Hulk is close enough is a great way to line up some simple, easy shots. This is, of course, not always possible, so instead, you can also shoot the Hulk's legs. It takes around 5 or 6 shots with the AMR, and this heavily reduces its mobility, and not only makes matters easier for you when you're shooting at the Hulk, it also takes that fear factor away from your teammates as well. You can also use this same approach with the Hulk weapon if you want to remove that ridiculously scary and annoying flamethrower out of the equation when fighting them. I personally just shoot at the eye, and have spent a lot of time practicing getting better at this, and I think it is probably the most efficient approach to handle Hulks overall. Before we get into the other choices, it would be incredibly helpful if you could like the video if you're finding it useful and enjoyable. It really helps push the video out there, and having taken a small break from Helldivers 2, this would be super appreciated. Of course, if you're also enjoying the video, please do sub to the channel to keep informed. There's also the Phase Shift Community Discord, which you can join to keep up to date with all things PSC and find groups for a range of games that we cover here, such as Helldivers, Space Marine 2, and other co-op games. Now, back to the video. Now, in terms of the primary, my personal favourite is the Plasma Punisher. This thing bullies, and I mean bullies, automatons. The stagger potential is through the roof, and once you get accurate with this thing, you can stun lock large groups of devastators and berserkers with ease. You can also get into a nice rhythm where you can manage larger packs than the AoE initially allows by effectively juggling the stagger between enemies by rotating your shot placement accordingly. This weapon also one-shots trash mobs, and if you can place your shots well, you can remove multiple targets, cutting the bot ranks down very easily. The icing on the cake, though, folks, has got to be the ultimatum. Oh my word. Combining this pocket nuke with the supply pack is absolutely insane. You can one-shot any automaton armored unit if you land your shots accurately, and yes, that does include factory striders. If you get the shot to land on the front portion of their head, I believe that's the spot. Even if you miss the first shot, though, no problem. Just get behind a rock, reload from your supply pack, and have another go. Honestly, the situations you can conquer and the things that you can pull off with this weapon when it's powered by the supply pack is insane. The only problem I've come come across with it is putting it down and using something else. It can also take out jammers and Eyes of Sauron, which makes for some very heroic and exhilarating dives towards objectives. You really do feel like the main character when you use this loadout, folks. Combine this setup with the gas grenade for ultimate CC, and you really do have something for all situations. In terms of the armor choices, we're going for either the light or medium armor with the medic passive to give the 6 stims and the longer stim effect. I know some people prefer otherwise. This is just my choice. I think this is the best option because it lets you heal through a lot of the damage, particularly when you're being ragdolled. I personally prefer the medium armor, but you've got to be confident with your movement. If you're not, folks, maybe heavy armor might be more to your taste, but I just find against bots, heavy armor just tends to slow us down that little bit too much. Being chased by a pack of Terminids, hearing their skittering claws as they breathe right down your neck is the kind of intensity that's enhanced by the quality of your headset. Whether you're an esports pro or a gaming enthusiast like me who takes competitive and immersive gameplay seriously, awareness and communication are essential. And that, folks, is why I personally use the Razer Blackshark V3 Pro gaming headset. It features 4 connection modes: 2.4 GHz wireless, Bluetooth, USB, and 3.5mm analog, plus up to 70 hours of battery life. Couple that with ultra low latency and a detachable hyper-clear 12mm mic, and you are laughing, folks. The dual-layered memory foam is breathable and keeps it light, cool, and comfortable, even in those long play sessions. And if you combine that with its over-ear sound isolation, you are going to be fully immersed and locked in. Speaking of immersion, it also has hybrid active noise cancellation with 4 adjustable levels through Razer Synapse software. Whether you're locked into a tank battle or blocking out your neighbor's mid-clutch Wolverine rage, it's got you covered. The sound quality is superb. In Hunt Showdown, I rely on directional audio to identify enemy weapons by sound, and this headset delivers on that and then some. Grab the Razer Blackshark V3 Pro via the link below and level up your game, whether it's for the edge and competitive play or deep dive into the action. They are fast and invisible! This is one of the best builds against the new Predator strain of Terminids. They are fast, extremely aggressive, and much more cunning than their regular counterparts, often flanking you en masse to breathe down your neck constantly. If that wasn't enough, they have the ability to cloak, which makes them incredibly scary. To overcome these terrifying and threatening additions to the Terminid roster, we need to lean into mobility and CC as much as possible, whilst keeping our eyes open to how we deal with the other usual threats, such as Bile Titans, Impalers, Chargers, Nests, and all that good stuff. In terms of CC and stun, we'll talk about the weapons and whatnot, and I'll also drop a bonus tip at the end of the video for newer players on how to use our primary weapon most effectively. But first, let's dive into the red stratagems. The first slot will come as no surprise. It's the 500 kg for all the obvious reasons. It's a great reset. It clears situations when you're in a panic. It can delete charges, biles, impalers. Absolute no-brainer, folks. The second red stratagem that I've been taking is a bit of a flex slot, and I've found myself switching between the Gatling Barrage, Orbital Gas, or Precision Strike. The reason for this is all 3 have a lower cooldown than a lot of the other picks that we could take here, and the way bug missions on this planet feel, we certainly want as much uptime as possible. The Gatling Barrage is a really nice pick here because when we use it in tandem with things like the gas or the stun grenade, more on that later, it does an excellent job of shutting down groups of these new variants very effectively. You can also preempt the movement and shut their paths down or choke points, and of course chucking it onto a packed bug breach also works really well here. Speaking of shutting the Terminids down, the gas barrage is also an excellent choice of stratagem as it offers us a large AoE CC with a very low cooldown. We were playing this in a group of 4 yesterday, and we were able to really dominate and keep the masses of these scary bugs in our pocket and locked down, open to be cleared out effectively. Finally, the Precision Strike is a good pick if your group are lacking in the ability to deal with things like biles and impalers. Once you get accurate with this thing, it's effectively a delete button and puts you in a really nice role to support your fellow Helldivers in a pinch. Moving on to the blue stratagems, and the front runner here for me has got to be the Gas Dog Backpack. This thing is absolutely cracked since its buff, and its usefulness has really come into its own since these new Predators entered the fold. It constantly CCs enemies, and it cannot be understated how much confusing the enemies increases your survivability, folks. This is really the icing on the cake with this build, and as we go over our final picks such as the armor and primary weapons in a moment, you'll see why. But this Gas Dog is just so intelligent now. It picks the right targets, it feels like, a lot of the time, and it is very efficient and economical, for want of a better phrase, when you're in the middle of absolute carnage. And I can't count the amount of times yesterday playing against these new Predator strains where this gas dog really did either save my bacon or one of my fellow Helldivers. Folks, if you haven't tried this yet, make sure you include this in your loadout. It absolutely slaps. I will also add in that you can use the laser dog. I do find that sometimes it's just nice to change things up, and the laser dog does do work, and you can see in some of the footage here that it is zapping the bugs into oblivion, and that's not a surprise. It is very effective. Make sure you grab that one, folks. Before we go into the primary weapon, the final stratagem pick will come as no surprise. It's everybody's favorite cheese cannon, the Queso, the Quasar cannon, for all the obvious reasons. Infinite ammo, the ability to one-shot Bile Titans, Chargers, and Impalers, especially when you get them with those cheeky little armpit shots. This just allows you to take the pressure off whenever there's a lot of heavies on the field, and it's a really solid pick in my opinion. It works fantastically well when you're in a group of 4 and you're in communication and you just call out Bile Titan, someone use a Quasar, pop, it's dead. Synchronize this, pick your targets, and you will have a really easy time using this in this loadout, folks. Our primary weapon of choice, in case you haven't already guessed, is my overall favorite weapon in the game, the Blitzer. Once again, the stagger and the stun in combination with the gas dog and or the gas or stun grenades are far too good to pass up on when we're fighting this particular variant of Terminid. And if you're still learning the ropes in Helldivers 2, I will drop a little bonus tip at the end of this video for how to use the Blitzer most effectively. It's a great one if you're still learning the ropes, folks. In terms of a secondary, you can either take the Automaton, because let's be honest, this thing is absolutely outrageous. Having a pocket nuke is never a bad thing when we're on the battlefield, and it can one-shot anything if you get a direct hit on it. No brainer, folks. Or perhaps you'd maybe rather get stuck into nest clearing, and if that is the case, then I would take the grenade pistol. This is a really solid choice here, and it's also great if you don't yet have the Automaton unlocked because you haven't got the war bond that it's in yet. I'll also say this is really good when you're fighting bile spewers. I just find having this in my pocket to switch to often helps me out when I'm getting overwhelmed by them, so that's something to bear in mind. Stun or gas grenades are incredibly strong for this new variant of enemies, as they offer us even more CC options, but I would say that the gas grenade is the better choice here because you can close bug holes with these, but your mileage may vary depending on what you have chosen in the other slots, folks. In terms of the armor choices, we're going for either light or medium armor with the medic passive to give the 6 stims and the longer stim effect. I feel like the medic passive is really coming into its own here. That is super helpful in this situation, not gonna lie. I personally prefer light armor, but you've got to be confident with your movement against these bugs. They are absolutely terrifying, and if you're not, the medium may be a little more valuable to you, but I just prefer that faster movement speed, folks. Now for a bonus tip for the Blitzer, and this is an extract from an older video I made when the Blitzer first got its buff that brought it to its dominance that we see today. Check it out. This next tip, though, is perhaps one of the most game-changing things I learned during my playtesting of this build, and I can't take credit for it, folks. I actually learnt this during a recent live stream where Faceshift community member Jalon and Crimson advised me not to right-click an ADS when using the Blitzer, and this would take it to the next level. Curious, I took this into some solo runs to test, and oh my word, they were not wrong, folks. By not ADSing the Blitzer, it appears to widen the spread, encouraging it to connect with enemies in a wider arc as opposed to a more focused small frontal cone. What it has revealed is that you can choose between focusing your shots in specific areas of a horde or becoming much more general in your cover of it. In most situations, I would advise using the non-ADS technique, as this is the much more fruitful choice when keeping space between you and your enemies, and it does appear to do more work against larger volumes of chaff much more quickly. The Scorcher might just be the top tier primary weapon for taking the fight to the squid menace we are currently knee deep in. Picture this, you're getting overwhelmed mid-repel op, your squad's on the back foot, and just as you think you've stabilized, boom, The calamari teleport in a massive drop full of those nightmare-inducing flesh mobs. Your support weapon's dry, and now it's all on your primary. So, you pull out your fully loaded Scorcher, hold the trigger, and absolutely melt through the enemy. Flesh mobs torn apart in seconds. Reload, rinse, repeat. This is where the Scorcher earns its name, folks. It absolutely destroys Illuminate threats, turning them into the crispiest of calamari imaginable, especially those absolutely treacherous flesh mobs and the various types of overseer. Now, when you pair this beast with a supply pack, you are practically an unstoppable force. You'll be one of the most terrifying Helldivers the squids will ever face. Its blistering fire rate, combined with the vertical foregrip, makes it easy to maintain pinpoint control. You're landing accurate volleys one after another like it's nothing. Watchers in the sky, boom, gone in a flash. Ground swarms of voteless, erased. Aside from the supply pack, I do also have some really tasty suggestions in terms of secondary and stratagem choices, which we'll go over later in the video. It's all going to be about conserving your Scorcher ammo for the bigger threats, folks. The way it deals with stingrays, with its impressive fire rate that allows it to mag dump into the fuselage of these annoying crafts, is nothing short of fantastic. Just take a look at how effortlessly this weapon can deal with these. I'd actually say that this is easier to use against stingrays than the Eruptor, which once again makes it an awesome pairing with any other useful support weapon. It isn't the best at dealing with harvesters, but due to its sustained damage output, it does some very respectable damage to assist with these menacing tripods and taking them down swiftly. Where this loadout truly shines is when you begin to think about it in terms of implementing a weapon rotation, which includes not only the Scorcher, but also the dagger and everybody's favourite rifle, the AMR, a support weapon of choice, folks. I'll put some footage on the screen now so you can see what I'm explaining being demonstrated. Essentially, you should focus on using the dagger exclusively to clear out voteless. It is incredibly effective at doing so due to the fire procs and just how quickly they go down in conjunction with how energy weapons behave. This takes the pressure off using the Scorcher, and as a result we can be more economic with the supply backpack and ammo in general that will be fueling both our primary and support weapon, the AMR. The AMR works incredibly well, not only at picking off enemies like Watchers from a distance, but also Jet Overseers, and perhaps most importantly, it does serious work against flesh mobs and harvesters too. More on that later. What is surprising is the AMR also works incredibly effectively when you mag dump into targets, in the sense that not only is the damage sky high, but the accuracy is also surprisingly strong as well. I have found that switching between mag dumps on both the Scorcher and the AMR is highly effective at controlling the battlefield, and once you've got comfortable with the rotation between all three weapons, you can manage your ammo really effectively, making this loadout incredibly powerful against the calamari scumbags. The AMR is just always a brilliant one to go to against Illuminate. It's so effective against the new stingrays. You can mag dump into the bottom of them as they pass over your head and take them out very quickly, very satisfying. And also, harvesters, you become their worst nightmare once you start raining in the pain on their hip joints. Speaking of raining in the pain, before we go into the stratagem choices, here's an example of a killer combo which highlights the output of this loadout brilliantly. Oh my days, watch this. Watch this combo. This is going to be insane. Reload. Gat going up. Look at the damage, man. He's so strong. You're cooked. You're all cooked. So are you. Oh, man, this is epic. Look at this guy. See you later. Firecracker grenades are where it's at with this loadout if you want to get some serious damage output rolling in a highly synergistic manner between your grenade slot and using the mag dumping rotation we spoke about earlier. It will absolutely blow your mind just how quickly you can remove huge quantities of calamari scumbags, ranging from both just small voteless all the way up to flesh mobs and overseers. Don't be conservative with these things, folks. Get them thrown in and go to town with your weapons on groups. You can power your loadout really efficiently with a supply pack, and the sheer amount of ammo lying around the map you will naturally find, so don't worry, just crack on with the fighting. You can further compound the effectiveness of this approach by relying on our stratagem picks, which is of course every Squid Force's nemesis, the Gatling Sentry. This thing does incredible work if it's left to its own devices, and you can combine this with the firepower we've already discussed for utterly devastating effects. This works in any situation, but it's particularly spicy, of course, in choke points with the firecracker nades thrown in for good measure. Bringing along the Gatling Sentry is also a very wise choice, because with this loadout, we're aiming to overwhelm the squids with a hail of bullets, and if you combine this with the MG206, especially against things like the Flesh Mob, it's seriously impressive how quickly you can bring these down. You can also further compound this use of sentries by coordinating with your squad mate. One of you grabs the autocannon, one of you grabs the Gatling, perhaps one of you even grabs the flame turret, and just watch things cook. The Illuminates do not like these things, folks. There is a place in every loadout for them. The 500 kg is a really solid pick here. Excellent clear potential, and it can obliterate any armored enemy in the Squid Force with ease. It's especially helpful against groups of harvesters, which can get quite scary at times, and it also deals with fortifications and other squid structures and hotspots effectively. There are also a couple of slight tweaks that you can introduce into this build if you'd like to change up the playstyle a little bit. For the grenade, it's either the gas grenade if you want to improve your crowd controlling large groups of enemies. It's also really effective with the new flesh mobs. And speaking of which, if you'd rather go direct for them, why not go for the thermite to deal with them? It's really efficient in this area as well. In terms of the armor choices, we're going for anything with siege ready. This armor comes with a bonus ammo capacity to both the weapons we're using, and the 30% increased reload speed is ridiculously strong. If you don't want to play the AMR, you can also change it up and play anything that would benefit from a backpack. In my experience, that's the HMG 206. You could argue maybe even the grenade launcher. That's not for me against Illuminate, but you might want to try that one, folks. With this in mind, what are some of your favourite loadouts? Let me know in the comments below. And also, what videos would you like to see me make? Are there any preferences? Sound off in the comments below. Check out this next video. It's got you covered. Take care of yourselves. Keep having fun. Come check out a stream on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one.